China approves $1 million loan for MBIA upgrade low-income housing phase 2 to start soon. Details to this story and more in the National Report. With the National Report, I am Rikisha St. Louis. The construction of Phase 2 of the Chinese housing project in Grenada is expected to start later this year. The government in Beijing has approved Phase 2 of the project, paving the way for the start of construction in about 2 months. Details in this report.
Prime Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell received the good news during a recent meeting with the Chinese ambassador to Grenada, Dr. Zhao Yongchen. Ambassador Zhao was officially welcomed at the start of his 4-year tenure earlier this year. The second phase of the low-income housing project involves the construction of units in 6 districts across the Tri-Island state, including Dumfries on the sister isle of Carriacou. Technical teams from China, as well as the Ministry of Works, have been visiting these 6 sites throughout the year to prepare the design for the project. China is now tendering for a construction company to do the work, another plus for the Grenadian housing sector, which has been made a priority by the Keith Mitchell government. Phase 1 was completed a few years ago with more than 350 units distributed. Meanwhile, the government of China has approved a concessional loan for the upgrade of the Maurice Bishop International Airport, valued at $66 million. China Harbour is the construction company assigned to carry out the upgrade work. China's Vice Minister of Commercial Affairs is expected in Grenada later this month to sign the 2 agreements with the government of Grenada.
Parliament has passed the Proceeds of Crime Amendment Bill 2017. The bill seeks to effect an amendment to the Proceeds of Crime Act No. 6 of 2012 to establish the central bank as the regulator for licensed financial institutions under the Banking Act 2015. The bill was brought before the House by Leader of Government Business Honorable Gregory Bowen. He says the measure is necessary to ensure that Grenada continues to have corresponding bank businesses.
One of the conditions that has been proposed by the Monetary Council of the ECCB when they met is to put the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank in charge. Yes, our countries do have local commissions made by the police, FIU, Ministry of Finance, etc. You have this commission reporting, the Attorney General, etc. But when the council met, and when that threat of not being able to get corresponding banks in the U.S. really showed its ugly head, the commission says, well, we want somebody to coordinate it. So we want the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank to be on top of all these commissions so that we would not fall victim to this, Mr. Speaker. So this bill seeks to give the effect to the decision of the Monetary Council. In its drive towards de-risking, as I mentioned today, the bank encourages member governments to approve the ECCB's assumption of the full responsibility for the AML, the anti-money laundering, and CFT, counter-financing of terrorism regulations of all institutions under the Banking Act.
Giving support to the bill, Finance Minister Dr. The Right Honorable Keith Mitchell says the intention is to enhance the image of the region.
The general feeling and what we know, if there is any serious incident of terrorism in the region, or if someone has been able to use one of our countries' financial system for terrorism-related activities, it does not matter which country is involved. What you hear is the OECS is a problem area. So all of us is treated with this one brush. So if we are going to be treated as such, then we all must take stock and harmonize our approach in many of these financial initiatives that we are taking, that we are dealing with at this point.
Minister for International Business, Honorable Oliver Joseph, also threw his support behind the bill. He pointed to the fact that de-risking would affect remittances to the Caribbean.
The amount of remittances, you know, in the Caribbean, and including Grenada, remittances is big. Not only for the carnival season, and people come here and they'll bring. People are constantly sending remittances to Grenada, and that contributes to our foreign exchange. So that can have a big impact. And therefore we must put these things in place and in law and have our local commission and the central bank clearly monitoring to satisfy the condition, because the effect you're going to have, the impact of that is so huge that, Mr. Speaker, this is extremely critical to put in place for our country.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
The house was shaking. Then said the story here, bang, crack, and the roof had gone.
Man, I was so scared, I nearly wet myself.
Only those who have lived it can truly understand the devastating fury of a hurricane's wind.
The house across the road just get up and roll over.
Hurricane force wind. It's a hazard. Hazards. Take control. Reduce your loss. You can hurricane-proof your home. For example, make your roof more wind-resistant by using screws instead of nails in its construction. Find out more about hurricane force winds and other hazards at your local disaster office. A message from the National Disaster Management Agency and SEDERA.
There is need for a succession plan to encourage more young people into agriculture. That advice from Chief Agricultural Officer Daniel Lewis, who was at the time addressing a regional workshop geared at encouraging young people to see the benefits of the sector. The National Agriculture Census of 2015 revealed that the average age of farmers is 57. Mr. Lewis says the project is a good initiative to ensure sustainability.
I think there is a lot more to be done. Quite apart from the implementation of that project, that would make an impact. Certainly, I am supremely optimistic that an impact would be made, but there need to be much more interventions targeting the young people, taking cognizance of the fact that our population, I'm talking about our farmers' population, we're aging, and we need to have a succession plan. Much more young people have to get involved in the sector, but they have to be convinced that you could make a good living as anything else and to move away from the cycle of poverty.
The project, Strengthening Decent Rural Employment Opportunities for Young Women and Men in the Caribbean, is a joint initiative of the FAO and IFAL. Ms. Lisa Martinez, National Operations Officer of the Food and Agriculture Organization, says young people must be part of the solution to the challenge of sustainably feeding a growing population that will reach more than 9 billion by 2050.
We're promoting a technology business with a food and agriculture focus. Anything else, you might as well wave the white flag. All's done. So with the learning route, we'd like to help you recognize that you're either leading that change or you're sitting duck, ready to be slaughtered by the changes that's around you.
Grenada's model of social dialogue will be one of the subjects of discussion during an international meeting in Greece in November. During a meeting of the House of Representatives on Friday, Labour Minister Oliver Joseph said Grenada is being watched by countries desirous of having a working model in place. And with the Labour Month now being observed, Minister Joseph says we must take into consideration the critical role that the Ministry of Labour plays in the economic growth and development of Grenada. He says the consultative process and involvement of all stakeholders have led to good industrial relations in the last 4 years.
That is good for the country's economic development and for confidence of investors when you have a good industrial relation climate. And so that must not be treated very lightly. Sometimes, Mr. Speaker, we seem to overlook, work with the Ministry of Labour and what it is doing and the overall contribution to economic growth and development.
And that's the National Report. I am Rikisha St. Louis.